life been. Used to talk every day till the night's end. Been a year now, I'ma need the whole school. You thriving, update me on them goals too. Yeah, I could listen to you forever. Filling up a few of them strong, never let them take us anywhere they plan to. Don't jump the gun, but when we sippin' something, you already know what's up. Lean back, I'll take you where we used to go. We both familiar on what the future holds. Bottoms up for the time that we wasted. Later we got reacquainted. For a good time, Corona, get that good vibe. Drinking till the sunrise, just like we used to do. Mexico, let's go there. Yeah, sex is slow, I don't care. Where we go as long as I'm there with you. Just like we used to do. You work hard, you need a vacation. I take your lifestyle, rearrange it. Put you on a plane with a destination, a white sand. All this funded off a mic stand. My right hand, I'm catering to your life. From the room, see the waves to the shoreline. Skin tan, you blended with the locals. Burn bread on you, something we could toast to. I'll promote you, show you to the universe. Got a couple on reserve, but you was first. Yeah, always have, always will be. You're the only one who gotta know the real me. So lean back, I'll take you where we used to go. From the clouds, you can view the coast. I feel the same for you, I don't even gotta say shit. Later we got reacquainted. For a good time, Corona, get that good vibe. Drinking till the sunrise, just like we used to do. Mexico, let's go there. Yeah, sex is slow, I don't care. Where we go as long as I'm there with you. Just like we used to do. Usually I put it down and withdraw. You always getting a round of applause. Standing ovation, give me an encore. Yeah, I need an encore. Tell me that you coming home with me. Love it when you fitting close to me. Who's showing you how it's supposed to be? I know you know it's me. For a good time, Corona, get that good vibe. Drinking till the sunrise, just like we used to do. Mexico, let's go there. Yeah, sex is slow, I don't care. Where we go as long as I'm there with you. Just like we used to do.
Caught up in the matrix, have to keep waiting, I gotta be patient. What's up with all these people hating? Yeah, anytime I gotta switch lanes, always gotta be real, ain't no time to change. In my head, but I got better things. Feeling love all through my veins, yeah. It is really nice to meet ya, yeah. I'm a teacher, got different things to teach, yeah. But I'm the storm that meets the moon. I'm the sun that will not move. Do you think you are? Who do you think you
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RSCast. It is the best place to get all of the recaps from the last week of RSC and to see everything to come. I'm the host, Mal, and I'm joined today with Kingsman on my left and Butter on my right. How are you two today?
Well, I'm doing quite good, thank you, Mal. Ready to get back into it for another week in a row. It feels like the weeks are just ploughing through at the minute and we have no time to actually enjoy the league. But I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. And Mr. Butter, how are you?
Well, I've been enjoying my sleep more than the league, I'd say, recently, Kingsman. So at least I'm enjoying my day. But another week of RSCast, we love to see it, to see some results, maybe some upset, to see which teams, on the road to making those playoffs, or see if any teams are making a comeback, like we get to see some of those bottom teams start to make their rise.
Yeah, and it's been an action-packed week, so we might as well get into it with what I believe is the Prospect Weekly Review. And as everything loads up onto the screen, I will hand it off to you, Kingsman, to do the Glacius Conference.
Yeah, we will, and only one team manages to benefit off 2 wins this week. Those will be Tomfoolery getting a 4-0 sweep onto Parmis and a 3-1 onto Primordial. 2 teams lurking near the bottom 4, but still to get results is a big result. Again, another big matchup I picked up last week was Fearless Limousine. Fearless managed to find a 4-0 sweep there. Also find themselves getting swept by Alta then, who are looking to push their way further up, going unbeaten this week, doubling their wins actually from 1 to 2. A lot more 3-1s and 2-2s than normally. A lot of it normally is a bit 4-0s in this Prospect Glacies. But teams near the bottom both seeing 3 losses in their last 3. So potentially a bit of form needed to pick up here.
Yeah, it's looking to be a very close conference there, but over to the Ignis Conference and Buddha. How is that side looking?
Well, there's always one team we talk about, and they're going to be brought up again because at the end of the day, it's just consistency from them, and they've got to be talked about, especially with the result they got. It is going to be the one and only Jabatus with the 7-1 week. They didn't get the 8-0, but last week we talked about the fixtures to look out for, and Obscurity had a very big game, and this is actually one of them. Only taking 1 game onto Jabatus, so showing that Jabatus are the stronger side there, a good 3-1 victory there, but also getting a 4-0 sweep as well onto Livens. On paper, pretty much expected, but just showing that no matter what, they go for the full result. They're not dropping games to teams where you expect to see those 4-0s, so it's a big week from them. And the other team who popped off as well is Propel with a 7-1 week for themselves. They did get that 4-0 sweep onto Dwarfs, and then following that, they did get a 3-1 victory as well onto Obscurity, which again was another matchup to look out for. Obscurity were in around that top 3, and they're playing both teams who are kind of challenging for that top 3 and first place spot. And for Obscurity to go 2-6 against those top fighting teams, it's going to show that, we might start to see a little bit of separation. But other than that, we don't really see too many draws. We'll see one from Cardinals onto Livens, which is a pretty equal result for both of their sides for the standings. But Tartarus and Mosaic, again, they were equal going to this week. They drew as well. But Tartarus, I got to say, fair play to them getting a 2-2 draw onto Newborn as well.
Yeah, it means it looks like it's a good week if you're Propel, but jumping across now to the prospect standings for the Glacius Conference. I'm assuming Kingsman usually does it from what I've seen, so I'll let Kingsman take over for the prospect standings.
Well, you would be correct there, Mal. Serene Taisho pick up 2 draws this week, meaning they drop down to 2nd place, and Tomfoolery will claim that 1st place spot. They are tied on wins, though, going into week 5. Caro and Alta, though, tie themselves up. Caro had a very good week, and so did Alta, both finding wins and draws, allowing them to be 3rd and 4th on 18 wins. Then 17 all the way down. 7th to 3rd is all separated by 1 game win. Hot Metal, Terror, and Palmists. Finding a loss has really devoured Palmist's lead into the top 6 as they fall out of it. But slowly climbing up after that 4-0 this week is Fearless Echo, who find themselves in 8th on 14th. And then an 8-game gap and 9-game gap down at the bottom is Primordial and Limousine. So a few things needed to change up there, or a bit of a comeback might be on for those 2.
Yeah, it seems like it's an incredibly close top part of that conference, but over in the Ignis Conference, we can see how those are looking as they're going to slowly load up on the screen, and I'll let Buddha take you through them.
Well, the only team who hasn't lost in this conference is going to be in that 1st place spot, Jabatus, with 26 wins, with a hefty goal difference to the name as well. But in 2nd will be Propel as well, closely behind by 3 games. They'll be holding that with their positive week that they just had. Obscurity, despite going 2-6, they will stay in 3rd there on 20 wins. That's showing how much of a lead these top 3 teams had, that Obscurity could afford to go 2-6 to stay there. But Newborn will be 4th of 17 alongside with Tartarus. Those 2 did draw last week, so Those two teams are just going to stay at a standstill with a pretty much of a different goal difference to each other for having the same wins, which is pretty interesting. But Mosaic will be in 6th, holding that play-in spot at 15 wins, and only one game behind them will have Anubis in 7th, Cardinals in 8th with 11, and Dwarfs in 9th with 10. Just one behind, but Livens at the bottom with 7 wins. The only team not to be able to reach that double-digit mark. You start the question, they've got to get the ball rolling. They've still not won a series so far.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like a lot more of a spread-out conference in comparison to the other one. But now, as we jump across over to the upcoming fixtures, I mean, is there any fixtures in the Glaciers Conference that we should really be looking forward to, Kingsman?
Well, I always love to talk about a fixture on the day, but unluckily for me, there are no fixtures on the day. But we see a lot of top versus bottom matchups. Tomfoolery, Fearless Echo, Primordial, Serene Taisho, Caro Terra, so very much opposites this week of what we would expect. On Hot Metal, they have a big week on their hands, I would say. They play Fearless Echo down in 8th, and they also play Palmists down in 7th. So if they are looking to push towards that 3rd place spot, they're going to need a big week here. Try and regain. Also talked about Primordial and Limousine needing to get out. Primordial, they have Serene Taisho coming off 2 draws. Bit of momentum lost there, potentially a bit of a opportunity to gain. And Limousine play Tomfoolery, who are on an absolute roll. So very tough week for those two. I say they're going to need to find results, but no matter what, it's going to be still very tough for them.
Yeah, and then across now over to the Ignis Conference. Any matchups that are looking any more interesting over there?
Well, there are quite a few ones to watch, but we've got to start off with the games today. We've got Dwarfs versus Mosaic and Tartarus versus Livens. Dwarfs and Mosaic definitely be a big game for them. Obviously, for Dwarfs to kind of get themselves back into it, and for Mosaic, this will kind of push them. They'll push that play-in spot of what those teams need to be getting. But for the other matchups, you've got Propel with a massive week for themselves, sitting in that 2nd spot, and they play Jabatus, who are at the top, still undefeated, so maybe Propel can make something happen there. But they also are going to be playing Newborn as well, which is a team that's rising. In their last 5 matches, they haven't lost a series, despite having 3 losses this season, so they are on good form at the moment, and then Newborn will play Obscurity as well. With Obscurity's recent form dropping 2 series against 2 of those top table teams, you start the question for Obscurity, this is a series to bounce back, or are we going to see Newborn, be joining that big fight up in the top 3 and see Obscurity start to fall as we go week by week? But another game we got as well, you got Anubis playing Livens. For Livens, I think this is definitely a series where, maybe they can finally find a series win. And they'll also play Tartarus as well, as I mentioned. But either way, it's going to be a tough week for them. But you've got those top dog fights, and they're the ones that you're definitely going to be looking out for.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's an incredible amount of good matches, even in the prospect division, to watch. But as we slowly move up the ranks, we are now moving across to the Challenger results for Week 4. Kingsman, do you want to take it away with Glacius?
Well, I guess I will. There's only one team going double wins this week, and it was happened to be the mid-table team of Neptunium, going 7-1, benefiting a 4-0 onto Fearless Delta and a 3-1 onto Shrine. 7-1 for them. A massive week, considering they were 2-2 after week number 3, so it allows them to push on further. Top table team, though, had a massive week last week in Apprentices, and they find 2 draws onto Mischief and Disorder. Disorder's first game, which they haven't won this season, so big result to them. So anything can happen, but only 2 4-0s. Mischief? Yeah, one of those two finding the other one, finding their 3rd win of the season. They've been a team finding draws all the time, and all I wonder is, have they hung on to that 3rd place?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some impressive matches. I'll quickly take us across to the Ignis Conference to allow you to figure out how to speak English, Kingsman. So, Buddha, do you want to let us know about the results over there?
I will indeed. Well, to start things off, you got to get it going. It's going to be the one and only, the 8-0 week from Orcus. You love to see 8-0 weeks from them. They start off with a 4-0 sweep onto... All right, we've got... Hold on, but it's got to take a breath here for this. A 4-0 sweep onto Capacity. Yeah. No.
Calpol. Come
Calpol,
on.
yeah. I just got a Calpol. Right, 4-0 sweep onto Calpol, and then they also got a 4-0 sweep onto Impulse as well. So for Orcas to get an 8-0 week, they are sitting there, kicking their feet up, just chilling, waiting for week number 5. But two other teams, they both went 7-1, didn't quite join Orcas in the 8-0 week. We had Feather go 7-1 as well with their results, getting a 4-0 sweep onto Calpol, and a 3-1 result onto Pardus as well. So it's a great week for Feather. And then the other team who went 7-1 that you've got to mention as well is Eclipse as well. A 3-1 victory onto Crusaders, and then a 4-0 sweep on to Canaans. And other than that, if you look at the results, we only see victories. We've not seen one draw here for the Ignis side. So every team, they've either asserted dominance in the series, or they've just been closing out those games in the final moments to not allow 2 points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't put that better myself, but what I will say is I feel like I made a bit of a mistake not going across to you when Kingsman couldn't speak English, because it doesn't look like you were doing much better with a few of the names. But either way, Kingsman's had a bit of time to figure it out. We're on to the challenger standings, and let's see if he can pronounce the team names this time.
Don't worry, I've got that under the bag. And the team with the most game wins in RSC so far, Disorder on 27. Highest game wins. Oh, and it's been absolutely taken away from me. I took too long. No, it's coming back. Oh, with what seems... Yes. Graphics are doing incredible things. So I'll read it out off the database. As I was saying, Disorder, they are on 27 wins currently. The highest in the RSC, followed by Princes on 23. The two teams yet to be beaten. As well, you have Mischief on 19. They hold on to that third place spot by one game to Neptunium in fourth with 18. Then there's a whole series gap to Serene Yamato and Gelbvi, who finally Gelbvi have picked up some form. And then Messias only found one win, but yet they're tied with Shrine on 12 wins. Oracle's very close behind on 11. And you'll see Fearless Delta picking up a draw this week. Find themselves 10 at the bottom.
Woo-hoo. And I mean, I'm not sure what has happened to the graphics. So hopefully, when we move across to the Ignis conference here, it'll all be happy and won't be annoyed. But it's slowly changing. There we go. It's I believe in the graphics, but as it slowly loads, hopefully all the numbers and everything are right this time. But I'll let Butter take you away with it.
Well, to start off with the correct numbers, Feather in first with 25 wins. They have got one loss on that series record, but they bounced back from that. Got 2 wins in the week to hold that first spot. But in second will be Eclipse as well, who also grabbed up 2 series wins this week. They're going to be at 23 wins, only 2 behind from Feather. But in third place, we are going to have Pardus on 20. They're going to be joint there with Elves. They may have the same wins, but the goal difference is definitely looking quite different there for both sides. But either way, they're both there with 20. In fifth, we're going to see Kadaho with 19. And then we start to see a gap already be permitted here within that mid-table. In sixth place, we're going to see Impulse on 15 wins, a full series behind from Kadaho. And then 3 behind Impulse is going to be Orcus in seventh with 12 wins. But only 1 behind is going to be Crusaders in 8th with 11. Then we're going to see Canaans in 9th with 8. And then Calpol in 10th with 7 wins. Well, maybe they need to be taking the Calpol, and then maybe they can start scoring the ball instead of missing it. But other than that, those are your standings for the week for the Challenger Glaciers.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if their team members weren't too busy trying to learn how to pronounce the names, they might perform a bit better. But slowly now, we will see the fixtures for the upcoming week in Challenger slowly loading. Hopefully everything's correct here. Kingsman, I'll let you take away Glacius.
Well, I can tell you, it definitely looks right. So that is absolutely a good start. But one team I will say that have a very tough week is Fearless Delta. They played Mischief in third and Disorder in first. Disorder have been a very scary team so far this week. So it'll be very interesting to see how they do against a Fearless side that absolutely... Disorder side, sorry. They're absolutely relentless in league play with over 100 goals scored. And then you have Neptunium have a very, very good week if they can perform again in Serene Yamato and Oracles. And then 7th versus 8th, you have Shrine taking on Messiah. Massive game to split, I'd say, the mid-table from those falling into the bottom four.
Yeah, it looks like some very, very interesting matches. But over in the Ignis Conference, any teams that you can pronounce that have got any interesting matches coming up, Butter?
Oh, it's fine. I'll just stick to the ones I can pronounce. But for the one game today, to just give them a little shout out, it's going to be K-Home versus Crusaders. Not as much of a crucial game compared to these other teams, but it's still a series that's being played today. Talk about results. That's got to be going teams' ways, though. I mean, you got to look at Orcus here. They've got a balanced week. They play Feather, which is it's going to be a difficult game for them. 13 wins separate both of these sides, and Orcus need to try push play-ins with the gap that there is already. But then Orcus do play Crusaders, who are one game behind them, so that's definitely going to be a big series there for both sides. If a victor, should I say, can come out of either side, they'll definitely be looking to rise and climb if they can get their other result. But Crusaders do play KO today, so Crusaders do have a pretty tough week. They got to get the ball rolling. We'll talk about getting the ball rolling as well. We're going to see Els versus Impulse. Only 2 positions apart, but 5 games apart. So it's definitely a big series there. If Els can take a victory there, you just question yourself, how big will the gap go to for that play-in spot? But then Els also... Impulse, will play Feather as well. So we see another team who has to play that top dog when they need those wins. So for these bottom teams, I'm expecting some upsets. I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, you say about the bottom teams, how much do you think the 2 matchups for, I believe it's Sepactli, or however you say it, I'm not going to say Cowpole, I'm going to try and pronounce it. How important are those 2 matches?
I mean, they play Canaans, so... It's a possible victory. I mean, both sides have a series win. Both sides have a draw. Both sides have lost 6 series. So I think anyone can win that one. But also they got to play Elves as well. And with Elves' recent form, they just grabbed 2 series wins last week. So they're looking on form. But maybe an upset can happen. But as I said, if they take their cow poll, maybe things will turn around.
Okay, well, it's definitely looking like some close matchups in that tier. But over onto Rival now. We're going to see, hopefully, some very interesting results, as I'm seeing a lot of draws appear on the left-hand side. Luckily for Kingsman, I think he likes draws, but we'll find out when he goes across to the Glaciers Conference now.
I do if they're for my team, but I prefer them to win sometimes, but you know what, a draw's good. But yeah, no team picking up 2 wins here this week. Mystics, they find their first draw of the season onto Anarchy, a game which realistically on paper they should have had a better result for, which would have pushed them even further forward at the top. And Serene Meiji found their second loss of the season to Uranum, who seemed to be one of the high flyers this week, with only 2 teams getting a sweep. Shout out to Big Fearless Charlie, who were on the bottom going after week 4. They've picked up a sweep onto Anarchy and a draw onto Montbéliard. So what a week for Fearless. A Fearless team finally doing something, and maybe we finally see them off the bottom, but Montbéliard, they just have had an absolute week to forget, going 2-6. But overall, not bad for some of the bottom teams here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, no team getting 2 wins is quite an impressive feat throughout a week. But over in the Ignis Conference, is it looking the same, or are the teams performing slightly better?
Well, you know what? You tell me. You just somehow take my notes. So let's go with that. Well, we got a team who almost went 8-0, and it's a team that's really, risen out of nowhere. We'd never see them go for a week like this. It's the one and only Caligo. They went 7-1. They got a 4-0 sweep onto Nightfall, which was definitely a big series when we talked about fixtures going into the week. Then they also got a 3-1 victory onto Ash as well, which were one of those teams that were struggling going into the week number 5, but still they got the victory, got it done and dusted. A 7-1 week, they're going to be happy with that. But another team, I've picked this team out just because for recent form, it's very good for them. I can't remember the last time they had a positive week. It's going to be Raiju. They went 5-3. They got a 2-2 draw onto Sentinels, which is very, very tippable and respectable when you see the standings. But then they also got their victory. It was a 3-1 victory onto Erebos as well, which, by looking on paper before this week started, it wasn't an easy series, as most series are. But either way, for Raiju, it's a great week for them. It's great to see that they did something positive in their scorelines. 5-3 for Raiju, 7-1 for Caligo. And other than that, we barely see other draws, except from Norns versus Ash.
I mean, I'm sure Kingsman will be quite happy with that result, but maybe not the other result for Norns a bit further down. How about that, Kingsman?
Yeah, as I said, draws are sometimes good if you're not looking the greatest on form, but definitely getting swept isn't high up my list.
Well, at least you don't have to see how far down your team is on the standings right now, as I believe we are on the Glacis standings for Rival. Why don't you take those away, Kingsman?
Yeah, and this time they are fully correct. I'm not being sabotaged, but 69% win rate at the top will be Mystics on 22, and then a 3 gap between Serene, Meiji, Journeyman, and Mirage. That loss really putting something in the works, allowing Journeyman to push on forward into that 3rd place spot. And 1 game behind are the high-flying Uranium, who go unbeaten this week and have only got 1 loss all season long. A team who haven't lost in the last 5 look pretty good on paper. And Yoruba, 17, 1 behind. They pick up a loss, falling down to 6th place. But then 3 games behind is Anarchy. Not the best week for them. They did manage to get a draw, though, onto the top dog, so things might be looking up. Fearless Charlie make their way into 8th, going unbeaten this week, I believe, for the first time. So, another team who's seeing things looking up. And Sanctum, they sit 2 losses. They sit winless at the bottom. Tied with Montbéliard, another team who hasn't found a win yet. But Montbéliard have 1 more draw, but clearly just get swept a bit more.
I would say it looks like a very, very close top half of that conference, with everyone being so close within games. I think 5 separating it all. But over in the Ignis conference, it might be a bit wider out. We don't know, as everything slowly comes down. It's looking a bit wider out, but I'll let Butter take away this one.
Well, up in first is going to be Tizok. They dropped their first series as a loss this week, but they still hold first place at 23 wins. That's the number for first. But in second is going to be Onka. They'll be 3 games behind. With a draw and a win in the recent week, they'll hold that second spot, but we slowly falling behind the Tizok. But in third place, we're going to see Sentinels on 18 wins. That's why I said Raiju's draw was very tippable, as it was a very difficult side to beat, as you can tell. But on 18 wins, it's not safe. You got Continuum as well in 4th. They're on 18 alongside with them, so very close there to shift things around for 2nd to 4th there. But in 5th place, we are going to see Erebos on 16 wins, just 1 ahead of Caligo, who do rise in 6th. With a 7-1 week, they got themselves out of that bottom 2. They rose all the way up to the play-in spot with 15 wins. Nightfall in 7th with 14 for themselves. Raiju in 8th. You know, they went positive, but it wasn't enough to climb higher enough. They are going to be on 13, though, joining that fight with the other teams. Norns in 9th with 12, and we'll see Ash in 10th on 11. But 1 game difference from 10th all the way up to 5th between each team. That's what you love to see. Any series can literally switch that about.
Yeah, I mean, I think Norns, I know of a GC1 style of player. I think he's called Kingsman Gas. I think he's already on VK, but I don't know whether he's actually on any of their rosters. He could probably sub in and help them out there. Oh, that's a shame. I always thought you were a battle rival player.
That's fair enough. I'd agree with that, to be fair. Hashtag put me back to rival. But this weekend rival games today, you have the big one. Mirage Uranium. I've picked that out as my matchup of the week. 4th versus 5th. Uranium obviously high flying at the moment, so big things to expect from them against Mirage, who are looking at the top of the table. But all the games come at the early part of the week, with only one being after the 8th of June. So we'll know where the conference is before the end of the week, so it gives Journeyman and Mystics some time. That's another big matchup. It is 1st versus 3rd, so big matchups all right year round. And then you've got also Anarchy have a pretty big week as they play Montbéliard at the bottom, a week they can really gain from. A Mirage, a team not finding the best form recently, only picking up one win last week, so potential gains there with a newfound roster.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope the Anarchy players don't get annoyed at you for basically calling them Challenger there, as you call them Disorder. But, I mean, yeah, how's the Ignis conference looking, Butter?
Well, we got 2 series today, and I hope they go well for the sides, because one of them is definitely going to be a big bounce back. It's going to be Ash. You know, they're at the bottom on 11, so they're going to be looking for something here. Maybe even a draw is good enough for them at that point. But Tizok and Nightfall, they play each other as well today. It's kind of another one. We've got a top dog versus kind of a team just trying to scrape into play-ins. But you never know. Maybe Nightfall could make something rain on their parade. Who knows? But other than that, we've got all the other matchups all to come as well for the week. We've got Norns versus Raiju, both sides with 2 series wins this series. Only 1 game separates the two, so a big match up there to see if one of them can overtake the other, or we'll still see them in the same spot. We'll also see Onka. They'll be playing Sentinels as well. 2 games separate, only second and third between each other. So, a victory there for Sentinels could really shape that top 3. And if Tizoc kind of have a big week, then maybe we start to see a gap starting to form, especially where Tizoc have to play Caligo. Obviously, on paper, they probably take it. But Caligo, on recent form, they're just coming off of a 7-1 week. So maybe they've found their footing. Maybe they found the way of Rocket League that they need to be playing with each other. But we'll see how that one goes. But the final team I would have to pick out is Continuum. They have to play Caligo as well, and only 3 games apart. This is where the gap is kind of starting to form in the Ignis Conference. So if Continuum can find something there, they'll really get something going there for those playing spots, and to see these teams starting to fall and maybe not struggle to get to that top 6.
I mean, while we're on the screen, I want to get your opinion, Butter, okay? Continuum versus Norns. I used to be signed to Continuum, and Kingsman very involved with VK. Which team takes it?
Oh, do I back Kingsman, or do I get revenge from all the bullying? Or that you know what?
What bullying?
I think that's an easy answer. I mean, Continuum, it is a good roster. You got Bailey, you got Nitch. They've both been elite before, and they're good friends. So they've got chemistry. Shattered Fusion's doing well in Rival. You got Potter as well, very experienced player. He knows how things need to go in the RSC. So I believe in any player that gets on that field. I don't think Continuum lose that series. Minimum at best, I think Norns get a draw there, but I think Continuum had the advantage for that one.
I mean, hopefully it'll be a close match, at least for Kingsman's sake, as I know he said he likes draws if it could have been a loss. But over in Elite now, we have quite a few good matchups by the looks of it, as Kingsman can now take over for the Glaciers Conference.
Oh, so many draws. It's like the gods are trying to please me. The top 4 teams, 3 of them find 2 draws this week. Fearless Bravo being the only team in that top 4 to find a win, and they did it onto Severance. A team that has really become the draw merchants of Elite this season with 6 draws under their belt and only 2 losses. So good for Fearless to find a breakthrough. The other wins will be Anju onto Saturnia and Zulu onto Saturnia. In a week where draws fill up the table, Saturnia have managed to find 2 losses. So they are losing out to basically everyone in the league. But I'm sure they can rebound. They were a top 6 side last week. How we know that has that changed? But the only team to get 2 wins will be Zulu. They found a 3-1 onto Saturnia and a 3-1 onto Serene. So they are the big benefiters this week. And 6-2 will be your best in Elite Glacies. So we'll wonder how that shifts everything around.
Yeah, I mean 6-2. That's what 3/4 win rate. That's not a massive win rate compared to some of the other divisions. But is it any different over in Ignis, Butter?
Well, I can tell you one better. Kingsman can tell you. Well, not tell you. No, Kingsman can do you one better. Holdra 7-1. It wasn't an 8-0 though, so SMH Kingsman. But 7-1 week. They got a 4-0 sweep onto its total, the one Azteca team name I can actually say. So a sweep on the board for them is looking great. And then they get a 3-1 victory. I would be happy, but it's on my dark horse. They beat Tigris 3-1. I mean, it's a massive result for them. Obviously, going into it, it was literally first versus second. I think Tigris were first in last week. So I've kind of spoiled it there. But for either way, massive week for Holdra. And the other team I had to pick out, obviously, there was a lot of teams that were winning a series and losing a series. There was no really other big team who went like Holdra. But Tigris, I just had to talk about them. 1-7. They've been top all season long, losing 3-1 to Holdra, and then getting swept as well to Vanguards. I mean, Vanguards have been an up and rising team. It is a good roster. They've just not been finding a lot of victories. It's just been a lot of draws, like the side of Severance. But I don't want to spoil the standings too much. I already have. But for Tigris hit a big struggling week. The only question is, do they bounce back? Do they have that mentality of, we are a top team. We've lost 2 series in a week. They've not been in that situation before. It's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back for week number 5.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like a massive spread of results all around there. We can jump now across over to the standings that Butter was so nicely spoiling for us in advance. Luckily, he hasn't spoiled Glacis at all, so at least Kingsman will get there without any spoilers.
That is true. Temple, they are first on 24. They went 5-1 going into this week, still unbeaten, but they've picked up 2 draws, leaving them still top. Fearless Bravo, they're in second, the only top 4 team to find a win this week. In Deception, they keep their 3-game gap to Bladesmiths. Obviously, draws all round, not good for the advancement of Deception, but Bladesmiths will not be complaining too much as they look for a roster change this week. So, very interesting there. They find themselves in 4th, clearly looking to do better than 2-4-2. But then Zulu, the double win team, they move up into 5th place, and Andrew will join them, finishing up the top 6. Then you've got Saturnia and Severance closing out 8th to 4th within 2-game gap. So very close to them. And at the bottom, Serene and Profit. Profits do gain to keep it tied at the bottom now, but only 4 games separates them. Very close at the bottom. I think it's the closest out of all the tiers.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I think, was it Challenger that had 1 game difference between all of them in one conference? But, I mean...
3rd and 8th,
that is, yeah, I was about to say, it's an incredibly close matchup either way, but over in the Ignis conference, which, as we've already said, Buddha may have maybe slightly spoiled once the background slowly changes. Anything that you haven't spoiled that's interesting, Buddha?
You're waffling. Well, in first place, Holdra take it. They take the throne off Tigris. They're like, hey, we'll take that crown for a minute here. 23 wins up the top. They'll be ahead by 3 with that victory over Tigris. But Tigris will now go to second with 20, but only 3 games behind. But in third place, we will see Carbo. They've got 18 wins, 2 wins behind the side of Tigris. But in fourth place, we will see It's Kotal with 17 wins. But it's not safe. They've got a Vanguards crawling up with a 4-0 sweep of the Tigris. They do find themselves in 5th alongside on the 17-win number for Carbo. It's Kotal, sorry. And it is in 6th place, we see Velocity in that play-in spot, but it's not safe again. 15 wins alongside with Embry, who are going to be on 15 as well, in 7th. But Thanatos, 1 game behind. They will be in 8th on the 14. And we'll see Darkness in 9th with 11 wins, starting to fall behind just a little bit. They will need to find something to kind of make it look still possible. And Scorch in 10th with 10 wins. You know, you gotta love it. 10th place, 10 wins. You know, I respect it. That is the best thing I've ever seen. But hey, if it's anything, Scorch, you don't have the worst goal difference in the conference. So at least there's a W in that. But yeah, those are your standings. And how long will Holdra stay first? We saw Tigris have it for 4 weeks. Will Holdra hold it for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, you said Scorch. I don't think Scorch would be too happy that they're 10th place with 10. You might think it's nice. They probably hate it. But either way, on to now the upcoming fixtures for this week. And I don't know half of these teams, as I don't know most things in RSC. So are there any interesting matchups coming up in Glacis, Kingsman?
Well, I'll answer the question that Buddha asked. Can they stay top for the rest of the season? You know what? I'll back them. Yes, they can. Con carries completely. I don't know anyone else in the team. Just Con. I'm kidding, of course. They're a brilliant team. But moving on to my relevant conference. Big games this week. You have Saturnia. They have a massive week. They play Severance in 8th place. They're tied, looking to get back into top 6. And Deception, who have not found a win in the last 2 weeks. So a team potentially not on the greatest of forms. But 5 games being played on the 8th. I thought they were all different teams. But it turns out Severance and Saturnia playing both on the 8th. That could be something that puts them off there. Severance also have Serene. So they have 7th and 9th. If Severance aren't finding results there, aren't finding their first win of the season, then surely you're going to have to be worried and thinking, what is in the future for Severance here? But except for that, massive week for those at the bottom looking to push into the top 6.
I mean, hopefully they will perform as well as you want them to. But over in Ignis, is there anything just as interesting as bottom teams having a good chance?
Don't call it bottom teams. Oh, you're going to make them feel bad. I'm sure they're very, very talented. Well, one of the matchups today is actually a pretty good one. It's Kotal versus Carbo, both right next to each other in the standings. Only 1 game will separate the two. So if Carbo can find a victory there, they'll hold that lead onto its total and, even potentially join that battle alongside Holdra and Tigris, and to see if Carbo can make some upsets there. Well, not really upsets, but, just shake things about. But Carbo will also play Holdra as well later on in the week. And I'll see Holdra now being your top dog in that first place spot. For Carbo, it's a very big week. They play 2 teams in the top 4. There's no easy result here unless they just completely farm one of the teams. And you know what? Be my guest. Another team I think you just got to look out for after recent events is Tigris. As I mentioned, they never lost a series until that week. And they didn't just lose one, they lost both and only took 1 game. So for Tigris, this is really a bounce back week. On paper, this is 2 wins for Tigris if they go back to their old form. They do play, I believe, Scorch and Thanatos. But hey-ho, we've seen upsets happen already, so maybe they can happen again. For Thanatos and Scorch, not going to be easy. Scorch will also play Embry as well. So maybe they can find something there where Embry have only found 2 series wins so far this season. But other than that, you're just looking at your average day-to-day mid-table fights as well. Velocity versus its total as well. Velocity... Yeah, my eyes do see right. They're in 6th. They're in play-ins with 1 win. Yep, with 1 win. So, if they keep doing that, I'm sure they'll be fine. But maybe they can find another one there.
Yeah, and I do want to know, if I can't call them bottom teams without them getting annoyed, what do I refer to teams that are at the bottom of the leaderboard then?
I say you call them aspiring playoff finalists. There we go.
Okay, well, hopefully Tigris will do well against the aspiring playoff finalists then. But over in Master, I don't know whether we have any aspiring playoff... I've already forgotten what you were going to say, but yeah, finalists, that's the word I was after. It's been a long day, okay. But yeah, are there any aspiring playoff finalists in Glacius that have done well this week, Kingsman?
Well, I want to go back to calling them bottom teams. The bottom of the table. Well, near the bottom of the table, but Dominion, they continue their charge at the top of the table, going 7-1 this week. They 3-1 Dogon in 2nd place, good result. And they went on to decide they've had enough and they swept Heck. So Heck at the bottom, not really the greatest result for them as Heck find 2 losses. But Dogon, they were in 1st and they find 2 losses this week. They lost to Dominion and they lost to Illusion. Essentially, we see the uprise of the mid-table teams, closing the gap to the top, but only 1-2 teams found 2 draws. Messias and Phoenix, once again, we see that 2-4-2 record for Messias. I'm not going to spoil the table, but let's just say a lot has changed in the Master Conference with the results this week.
Yeah, Heck 0-8, that's not a great week for them. Is there anything that bad in terms of results over in the Ignis Conference, Butter?
Fearless Esports. Right, moving on to this conference, we have Montezuma going 6-2. This was the best record in this conference. We don't see a 7, we don't see an 8 on the wins, but Montezuma, they got a 4-0 sweep onto Gladiators, so good to get their games on. They did not drop a single game, despite on paper it was pretty much an easy game, but they got a 2-2 draw as well onto Nox, which is a big result for Montezuma. Nox, they've been up there all season. They've been a tough team to beat. To get a draw on them, you can't be too upset about it. At least you didn't lose, but a win would have been massive for Montezuma. But it was a draw, so 6-2 week for Montezuma. Then we got 2 teams who went 5-3. It's actually, they've been top 2 all season long. So hey, I'm not spoiling anything there. But Draugr and Nox going 5-3. We see Draugr got a 2-2 draw onto Hades and a 3-1 victory onto Abyss. I think knowing the players Kingsman, I don't think they're probably too happy about those results. I'm pretty sure they expect and should do more. I'm pretty sure I'm confident to say that. But Nox going 5-3 as well. They got a 3-1 victory onto Fenrir. Then also, as mentioned, 2-2 draw onto Montezuma. So both sides, they're still going positive. It's still not bad. It's still not equal. They're still getting the results that they need. But other than that, we only see that 1 sweep here in Ignis. So that was Montezuma onto Gladiators.
Yeah, I'm sure, as you've said, Kingsman's probably happy with the Draugr results. Like you said, maybe they aren't super happy with a draw and only 1 win. But over in the Glacius standings, it's looking like there are a couple of teams with a bit of a commanding lead here, Kingsman. What do you think?
There is. It's Dominion. They had a very good week. They move into 1st. Dogon, though, they slip out of the top spot into second with 20 wins. IOV they find themselves third on 19, and then Messiah 17, very close after their draw week. As Illusion, they find a win and a loss, leaving them into 16th. And finally, a Fearless team find themselves in the top 6. It's going to be Fearless Alpha. The new rebuilt roster is actually doing things for Buddha, and I'm sure he won't be complaining. They are tied with Haven, so not safe yet. Serene Nara dropped down to 8th and 14th. Phoenix, they go to 12th, but they have recently, I don't know if it has been put through or not. I don't know if I can say it. Let me just check this up. I can, and they've re-signed Cubby this week, so we'll never know what is coming next week. And Heck, they still sit last. Poor old Heck.
Yeah, I mean, I do want to ask Buddha a question before we jump across to Ignis, and that is, how do you do such a good job at building these aspiring playoff finalist teams, Buddha?
I wouldn't say that good because I've still got a bottom team, let's just say, in Challenger. But you know what? You just find a player who you know, and they just build the team for you. I mean, come on, that's every GM secret. You just find that one player. But very grateful for the team. They're doing bits right now. You know, when you get to the season where down there, it can be a struggle finding a playoff contending team.
Well, how's talking of playoff contention? How is Ignis and Master looking for the teams that want to make it into playoffs?
Well. You have Nox in first with 22 wins, 1 goal difference ahead, 1 win ahead as well from Jorga in second on 21. Nox and Jorga fighting in the boxing ring right now, round for round, trying to have that first place cemented. But hey, it's not over. You've got plenty of weeks to keep on fighting. But in third place, you're going to see Transcend as well on 19 wins, just 2 behind for that second spot. But Fenrir are going to be in fourth, 2 behind Transcend as well. They're going to be looking to peep in through. But surprisingly, a minus 22 goal difference with that many wins, it's somewhat way impressive at that point. But in fifth place for Montezuma with 16 wins, they just have a good week. They had the best week in the conference, but they will be in fifth, tied there with Abyss in sixth on 16 as well. But Hades in seventh with 14 wins, Infinity in eighth with 13 wins. And in ninth place, we'll see Leo with 12. It's only a 1 game difference there for those 3 teams. But in 10th place, we will see Gladiators. They'll be there on 10. I believe they got swept and got a draw, so not the best of weeks. They'll be looking to bounce back and hopefully kind of join for a little fight there for those 7th to 9th teams.
Yeah, it seems like another bracket where there's a bit of a lead for those people in first in comparison to a lot of the other tiers where it's really close. But to see how well any team's going to do, I think we need to look at their upcoming fixtures, because those could mean the difference, especially as we're getting later into the season. They could mean the difference between playoffs or not. Is there any very bad matchups happening in Glacius where a team's just going to lose, Kingsman?
I wouldn't count out that a team's going to lose, but if you want to talk about it on paper, Heck, they have a very tough week. They play Dogon, so I'm not saying they're going to get a result there, but you never know. This is RSC after all. Fearless Alpha, they have a crucial week. They play Dominion at the top and Illusion just ahead of them. So big results here, and will push their playoff contention further and further as the weeks go on. But another team that has a big week is IOV. They're looking to push to the top, but they have Messias in fourth, and they have Phoenix in ninth. A must-win against Phoenix, and a must-win against Messias. So a lot of must-win games for those top teams, trying to stop Dominion from running away.
Yeah, and I mean Dominion doing incredible already. How's the Ignis conference looking? Is there any team that could easily make a runaway this week, Buddha?
Oh yeah, Gladiators, they sweep Nox in the bag. It's done and dusted. Right, that's a joke, okay? Don't take my word on that. Gladiators, I mean, they've not won all season. They're playing a team who has pretty much not lost all season except once. So for Gladiators, just good luck. Just have fun. But they play Abyss as well, who are 6 games ahead of them. So for Gladiators, it's another very tough week. If they can go neutral here, that'd be great from them. But if they go positive, do you know what? Just get me off the desk, because I know nothing at that point. So Gladiator is a big week for them. And then the other matchup we got today is Fenrir versus Droga. I mean, that's pretty much a big matchup itself. I believe 4 wins separate the teams, even though it's second and fourth. So for Fenrir, this is a result that they need if they want to kind of, make things possible for that top 2 spot. But if they want to climb there, they do play Infinity as well. So for Fenrir, if they can find a result onto Draugr, they could possibly walk away with a very, very positive week. But a big matchup you got to talk about as well is Draugr versus Transcend. Transcend has been that team. They didn't have a slow start, but it just wasn't booming. And recently they have been booming. Well, they did find a loss, but other than that, they've still been booming, okay? But Transcend and Draugr, a very big matchup. 2 wins apart and literally just 1 spot apart. So that's going to be a big series. You're probably going to find a draw on paper, but I hope to see a victor there. And obviously, Kingsman obviously would want Draugr to become victorious, obviously. But I think other than that, the other matchup is going to be Abyss and Hades. You know, they are 7th and 6th, 2 wins apart. I think if Abyss can find something going there after their game against Gladiators as well, they could really maybe start to find, that benchmark point for play-ins.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone on Nox or Abyss aren't big fans of Butter, you know exactly what you need to do in this upcoming week. If you throw your match against Gladiators, he says he's going to go away. But as we jump now over to Premier, where it is week number 2 as opposed to week number 4 that we are recapping everywhere else. They are 2 weeks behind. How are the very few matches on the left-hand side looking, Kingsman?
Well, left-hand side, Symbiotes take a 3-1 win onto Division. Their first game, because it's the Team Hosky one, keeps being postponed. Honestly, blame Pesky. I blame him every single week that it hasn't been played yet. But Fearless Esports do find a win onto the Visionary roster. And Feliday got a forfeit win onto Team Hosky. So, big dogs not being able to show themselves yet. And Solace Team Stream, well, sadly, that hasn't been played yet.
Yeah, it looks like it's been postponed a bit. But over in Ignis, where there are one more match that hasn't been postponed, so at least we've got 4 matches on that side. How's that looking, Mr. Butter?
Oh, Mister. Oh, thank you. Well, to start it off, Centurions, they find their first victory. And they'll be on to Momentum, a 3-1. No sweep, but hey, a victory's a victory. We'll see Sharman Esports as well with their first victory onto Domination, a 3-1 as well. It wasn't a domination of a 4-0 though, but at least it was a 3-1. But Forg as well, the only team to sweep here in this conference. They find their first win again for these other teams against Ox Gaming, who have only found 2 games so far in both of these weeks, so they're going to be looking for something. But Kronos, RQS Esports, RQS, the only team to find their second victory, is going to be a 3-1 victory onto Kronos, who struggle to find any sort of draw. But we see no draw here in Premier. But I guarantee you, the games were individually very close. There's probably the most OTs in this tier, and there's way less teams.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like all-round very close competition throughout. And I think that will also be reflected in the standings that are slowly loading up. Which team do you think is doing the best aside from Symbiotes here, Kingsman?
Well, I would say Feliday, but they got a forfeit win onto Team Hosky. So I'm not really going to say them. Finally, a fearless team in the top half of the table. I know, the chat goes wild. So, yeah, very interesting. Visionary Hills. But I think the other one to look out for is Solace. They obviously have a very strong roster. Teams that have won the tier before, I believe. Or I'm thinking of a completely different roster. Who knows? But Team Serena Solace, that is those 2 teams very much to shine. Division, I know they've had some scheduling problems recently. I know that as being the GM, it's very painful. But never mind that. As Team Hosky, they've only played 1 and it's been a forfeit. I'm looking forward to see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that Team Hosky forfeited their 1 match, and I think you said the other one was postponed still. So hopefully at some point they will make a resurgence on the standings. But over in Ignis, I don't think there's been many, if any, forfeits. How's that looking, Butter?
It's beautiful. No forfeits, no postpones. RQS Esports in first, 6 wins is to take it up top, but it's not safe. It's not secure like the Symbiotes. Forg are going to be in second on 6 wins as well, and with only 1 goal difference behind them as well. So they're going to be looking to, cause some ruckus. But in third place, you're going to see Centurions on 5 wins. Sharman Esports in 4th with 4 wins. Domination in 5th with 4 wins as well. And then Kronos in 6th with 3 wins for themselves, and Momentum in 7th with 2, and Ox Gaming at 8th with 2 as well. But hey, it's Premier, 1 series a week. Like Ox Gaming, they get a sweep, boom, top 4 in bounds. So look forward to see what week 3 has for us.
What I want to know before we jump across to the fixtures, I'm going to ask this to both of you. Which team, it might be a bit early, which team do you think is going to win Premier?
Ooh.
Wow.
I think it's way too early to call. I think it's way too early to call in my eyes.
You know
I
what?
still want you to
give
pick
you an
one,
answer. I'll give you an
Pick
answer.
one.
Just okay. So it's between two, but I feel like it's a good enough answer because it's early. Okay. I mean, it's got to be Symbiotes right now. Obviously, a very strong start, and they're not just winning. If you look at the goal difference, they're literally dominating their opponents at this point. But I think the other team is going to be Hosky. You know, we've not really seen much of them, but I think this is a team that's had a lot of hype recently. You know, most people know who they are with their recent LAN and tournaments, and I think they could really surprise, well, not surprise people, but I think they can perform here in the Premier Tier in the RSC.
Yeah, I mean, have you decided a team yet, Kingsman, or are you just going to stick with no answer whatsoever?
I'm going to go between two. I'm going to go between Division. Obviously, they're my Prem team. They're a very good team in Nitro League. I know what they can do. I'm also going to go between RSC Esports. No one really. I certainly didn't because I don't have a knowledge of Premier teams, but I don't think many people really backed them compared to the competition this season. And look at them go! They're pushing through and they're in first place right now. So hats off to them.
Yeah, I mean, now that we've got your predictions in, I'm not going to do a prediction because I'm not brave enough to do that and have that held against me. But we can at least now do the fixtures for this week, where there does seem to be a few missing. I'm assuming they were postponed or otherwise just haven't been scheduled yet. Do you want to take it away, Kingsman?
Well, I will. There's only two that have been scheduled, and they're both on the 8th. Symbiotes play Visionary. Visionary need to pick up a bit of form. They have not found a win yet, a draw and a loss. So they need to pick up their season. Obviously, only one series a week. Team Hosky, they play Team Serene. Finally, we might see Hosky get on the board this week. Or hopefully, let's not see another forfeit. Division Fella Day. I know that's in the process of being scheduled. And Fearless Esports Solace. Buddha, any idea on that one?
You know what? If it doesn't, I'll just play. Free win for me, obviously.
I'm not so sure I agree with you there, but I'll let you believe whatever you want to believe, brother.
See my flip resets?
No, I haven't. So
Yeah, neither have I.
you gotta. I was about to say you gotta send me them if you've got any. But how do you think the Ignis division's gonna do here?
How do I think I'll do? Well, yeah. There you go. There's my answer. Right, the game for today: Domination versus Kronos. This is actually a big series. Actually, both sides 5th and 6th, 1 win separated. The Domination, they have won a series this season so far, and Kronos, that's the only department they're falling in, is winning a series. So maybe they can make something happen today, or maybe it'll be Domination to shut them down and be holding and maybe even pushing for that top 4 spot as well. But we'll have Ox Gaming versus RSC Esports. If you're Ox, unlucky. You're having a tough start of the season, and you've got to play the only team that's won both of their series in the conference. It's definitely going to be tough, but anything's possible. Not saying they're going to lose. It's only been 2 weeks. Anything can happen. But for the games that have not been scheduled just yet, Momentum versus Shaman Esports. This is another matchup where we've got one team who hasn't won, which is Momentum. I mean, they haven't even drawn, so this definitely could be a big game for them. But Shaman Esports, they've already got a victory on the board after their loss, so they're on form as of recent. But Centurions versus Forg as well. Centurions and Forg. We have a matchup where both teams have won a series. This is probably your biggest matchup in the Ignis Conference. They are both 2nd and 3rd, 1 win apart. So it's definitely going to be interesting for Centurions and Forg to see who can hold that 2nd spot and start chasing RSC Esports after their hopeful result of a victory onto Ox.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully both of the teams on either side or both of the matchups on either side, that haven't been scheduled will hopefully be scheduled. But I believe if I have my order of runnings right, which I do, we are now onto the franchise standings. I'll let Kingsman take the bottom half. I'll let him take the franchises that, as Buddha would describe them, are playoff finalists, or at least hopeful to be them.
You're wrong.
Well, Buddha might say that sat in 16th, but bit of copium there.
Prices. Slowly.
Maybe 1 place a week. Maybe he'll find himself in 11th by the time the season's over. Anyway, Ox Gaming in 20th, a bit of a gap, not looking so good for Heki and co. 4 Templar, though, they're in 19th, not looking good. DSQ are in 18th, 70. Very much a big gap between the bottom 3. And then very close, you have Might of Hades and Fearless in between 1. Green Phoenix, all the top franchises from last season have seemed to have fallen off, except a few. As then Luna Esports, they are 78, are tied with Sanctuary, Visionary, and Azteca. So, does the 78 streak continue going into the top 10, Butter?
I mean, spoiler the party. No. Right. It'll go to 79! A beautiful number from the one and only team, Sir Reed. As we'll slowly get to that, they're going to be in 10th place with 79. We don't see a one-game gap following that, though. It's going to be Shaman Esports in 9th place, having a good season so far. 82 wins. Shadow Esports in 8th with 84. Another 2-game gap. Then following another 2-game gap, we're going to see Valkyrie Knights in 7th on 86. We're not going to see another 2-game gap, though. We're going to see Symbiotes in 6th with 86 alongside with them. And not just one. Another one. System of Solaris in 5th with 86 as well. But 1 game ahead is going to be Fork in 4th place with 87. And they have 3 games just ahead of them. It's going to be Momentum. Wait, is that the franchise, though? Is it actually? Oh, my brain is gone. Yeah. I thought it was something else. You know what? Yeah, we'll take it. 3rd place, Momentum, 90 wins. And it is 2nd, Illusory, having a great season so far at 94 wins. Definitely going to be happy with themselves. But, sorry, I've got to take away the spotlight now. Panthera Esports, they're still 1st. They're not being taken down. But, if I'm correct, I think their lead has decreased compared to last week. So that's definitely, a W from the up-and-coming franchises here. But for Panthera Esports, I mean, the only team above 100 goal difference, they're doing something right. At this point, they're going to be looking to be the first team to reach that triple-digit wins, depending, which franchise is playing first. But hey, we love to see it. Beautiful. Mwah, mwah.
I mean, what I do want to know, okay, Kingsman, you made a bit of fun of Butter for his team not being super high. Your team's only in 7th, so why isn't your franchise even higher, Kingsman?
My prospect team.
Ah, okay. You're gonna blame it on the prospect. Well, maybe you should go down there and play for them. You might maybe get a
maybe I should. Prospect. Maybe I should. Honestly, don't take me down to rival. I'd still probably lose in prospect, but the fact remains, I can't pull off a franchise of this. I can't pull off a top 1 franchise performance every season. At least I'm consistently in the top 10, right, Butter?
Oh, why do I wake up anymore? There's no point. I just should not turn up.
Well, either way, I was about to say either way. I do believe we've been told we don't have a clip of the week this week. Sadly, the people behind it were all busy, unwell, or otherwise occupied. But I have been told we have a fail of the week. I don't think any of us have actually been shown it ahead of time, so I don't think any of us actually know what we're about to watch. So hopefully, it's going to be a good one.
Is there not a fantasy bit?
I feel sorry for Yeast there. I don't know whether you two have anything you want to say about it there, but that was a hell of a save. I'll give him that, but just not on the right net.
You know what? I think he deserved it. You can tell he's one of those players. If it's going in, he's like, you know what? I'm taking those points. I'm taking that fantasy league statistic. So you know what, Yeast? You deserve it. You shouldn't screw over your teammates. Lesson learned.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, he's wrong. I've played with Yeast a lot. He's definitely the type of player to do that. And I guess karma finally hit him.
I mean, maybe he had internet issues. I heard that was his excuse last season when he got knocked out of playoffs. So maybe he just had some kind of internet issues here. But either way, it was a great fail of the week from Yeast there. I'm sure he'll be happy with how much fun we've made fun of him. But I do believe we still have some weekly awards that get given out to people. I'm quite new to hosting this thing, but I'll let Kingsman take it away with Prospect.
Well, your MVP is going to be George FC on the Luna franchise, 534 points per game. And but I had this one last week. I'm going to call him Spaxy. It's going to be your finisher with 1.75, tied with Voodoo. Don Koala going to be your MVP, your striker with 71% shooting. Man Raj is going to be your playmaker, 1.5 assists, tied with Wolf. And Robbo from the System of Solaris franchise will be your savior with 2.75 saves per game.
I mean, there's quite a few ties. I don't know, how often do you usually see ties like this on your players of the week? Oh, I don't really keep up with players of the week, but as we jump across to Challenger, I'll let Butter take it away. Hopefully there's some easy names to pronounce, but it's looking like not a good one for you at the start there, Butter.
You know what? We'll say Magic. Screw it. MVP, 482.25 points per game. Absolute beautiful. But your finisher is going to be Oliver, 1.5 goals per game. Sorry, Magic, mate, but first place isn't yours on this one. You're going to be second. But striker is going to be Hecky. Let's go. 70% shooting accuracy from the man himself. But your playmaker is going to be Source. He may be SSL behind the scenes, broadcasting the games and streams for you. But hey, he can make assists as well. 1.5 a game, getting on the board, assisting his teammate who got the saviour of the week, Borsvel, with 2.67 saves per game. Just taking that away from Stingray. Great performances from all of these players here.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of set you up there, Butter, because I did play against Mike last week, and I believe that is how his name is pronounced. So I kind of set you up knowing his name wasn't pronounced as it was written. But as we jump across to no problem. As we jump across now to rival, I'll let Butter take away the players of the week for his tier.
Oh right. Oh. Okay. Fine. MVP is going to be Leggy, 516. Well, 0.13 points a game. Can't forget the decimal there. But your finisher is going to be Cal with 1.63 goals per game. It's a two-way tie there with LJK, but it is going to be Cal who will take it. But your striker is going to be Mox, 50% shooting accuracy. You know what? It's not just him. It's Axelos as well. Axelos hit the training packs, mate. Love as well, 50%. He may be at the bottom of the standings, but at least he's got some type of award showing his efforts. But your playmaker is going to be Sammy Boy with 1.75 assists per game. But your saviour is going to be Bread. He's making the sandwiches nice and secure. 2.88 saves per game, almost reaching a 3 average.
Yeah, I mean, three people there on striker with 50% shooting accuracy. Kingsman, you'd love that kind of shooting accuracy, wouldn't you?
I absolutely would, and one thing I do love to see, ain't anyone beating those MVP points this week. First Beast, aka Con, 667 points a game. Someone tell me how you shut that man down, because I absolutely could not tell you if I tried. 2.25 goals per game, and his teammate Bondab 1.38. So I'm telling you, this is the success behind Holdra's good run of form. They've got Con and Bondab and Veka on a team. Honestly, too unfair when you see it on paper. But your striker will be Dwarf, but from the Serene roster, 50% shooting accuracy. Fused. Again, Bondab and Con making another appearance on 1.5. Could have gone to any of the players, but they couldn't let VK take all the awards away this week. And then your saviour will be Purple Feature on 2.88, a new signing for the Visionary roster, and it's clearly working out for them.
Yeah, I mean, you said they couldn't let VK take three of the icons there. But to be fair, if you look at the Green Phoenix logo, it does look a bit like someone's just spilt some green paint on the VK logo there. So I don't know, it's a bit hard. But since I did it to Butter, and since this is technically, I believe, the tier that you are in, I'm not sure how, but I'll let you take this one as well, Kingsman.
Yeah, it is the tier I'm in. I might be not good enough to play in it, but you know what? I'm in it for the vibes. Alright, it's Adri, your MVP. I said no one could beat Con, and clearly no one can. Maybe 6 points short, but still, no one beats Con. Con is absolutely clear. And then your shoot finisher will be Fluffy Swede, tied with Kietsu on 2 goals a game. Your striker will be Wizzo, 62.5% shooting. Sanctuary are filling up the Master Players of the Week. And Adri, he is also your assist maker. He's clearly finding a unique way to end up on the score sheet. And Jerku will be your saviour with 3.25 saves per game.
Yeah, I mean, 661 points per game and then 1.75 assists per game. I think we know how that player there is getting a lot of their points. But at last, we get to the best tier, and the tier that Buddha definitely should play in, because he is the best player ever I have heard. How do you think this one's looking, Buddha?
I'll be on it next week. Well, your MVP is going to be Gogi with 550.25 points per game. But your finisher, he's got ice in his veins. It's the one and only Icy. 2 goals per game. No one else could do it like him. But your striker is going to be Icy again. He's scoring a lot, and he can actually shoot on target, unlike all of us here on the desk. 66.67% shooting accuracy for the Iceman himself, but your playmaker, his teammate, and Milvald, we're going with that. 1.5 assists per game. Yeah, there's a reason Icy's scoring. Well, it's his fellow teammate in the second man position, but your saviour for this week is going to be Trin with 3.25 saves per game. And obviously, a little shout out there to Gogi, who almost took another first place medal there, but it is going to be Trin for your saviour of the week.
Yeah, I mean, some incredible play of the week stats. I will say to the people asking where the clip of the week are, we did say it earlier, the people behind making the montage video for it, they were either busy, unwell, or just otherwise occupied, so couldn't actually make it. But what we do at least have is our team of the week, and who should I let go through? You know what, let's let Kingsman do this one.
I will indeed, and Matt Blue from the Tomfoolery roster will be your MVP for Prospect. And Mike from the Orcas roster, I got it right, but I didn't. Something else to flaming about. And your MVP from the Caligo roster will be LJK. And I might have hyped up Con in our elite team, but it's going to be Bondab as your team of the week in the Hold roster. Clarky from Dominion roster, he makes the team of the weekend master. And LED from the Forg roster will be your premier team of the week.
I mean, I was about to say it's a very stacked lineup there, but I think that is kind of the point of Team of the Week. Anything you want to say about the Team of the Week here, Buddha, aside from it being a stacked roster like I said it would be?
Yeah, great Team of the Week.
Jokes
aside, great efforts from all the players, obviously, it's not easy to make it there. You've got to be able to hit the ball and perform within your team and have a really good week. So, congratulations to all of the players. If there's somehow a 6v6 Rocket League, hey, you're on that team of the week. So feel appreciated and, feel good about yourself. You got on there. So well played. You represented your tier for that week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts on the team of the week there, Buddha? I mean, Kingsman, sorry, I get you two mixed up. It's confusing having both of you here.
I mean, obviously, me and Buddha look so similar and sound so similar. Yeah. It is very easy to get us confused. Both brilliant GMs in our own respect. So, I mean, what can I say? But except from that, the team of the week, good all round. A good to see a Valkyrie Knights player on there, finally. Yeah, very good players all round, and they've clearly shown it for their teams, with all those teams having good weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, not to point out anything that's going wrong with the stream, I have been enjoying watching that ticker go around at the bottom saying NA. It's just not enjoying life. There's probably something that's gone wrong in the background, but there's some incredible matches that were played, some incredible matches to come in the following week, and unless you guys have got anything else to say,
you know what? Wolfie has brought this to light, and no idea how me and Kingsman have missed this all stream. But Mal, you want to talk about the festivity today?
I didn't miss it. I just didn't want to mention it. I thought I'd leave him to himself. He still thinks.
If I could get bullied, I need someone else to have some spotlight. Yeah?
You won't be here next week.
I think you're all just jealous. So. It's a good wear. What do you mean? It's the right kind of weather outside. It's cloudy. Yeah, it's cloudy. It doesn't ever snow in winter here. So how can I tell the difference between it being winter and summer without going outside? Which, I mean, I never do. So it's still Christmas for me.
A W-Riz suit, that is.
But aside from my incredible wear, I don't think there's anything else here, and I think we should probably let Source go because that's what I was about to do them. Don't worry, Kingsman. I was just saying we need to let Source go because I know he's got a game coming up very soon. But thank you to all of our sponsors. I don't know if they get named, but I don't know the name of half of them. Well, I'll let Kingsman do the names of them then because I am very prepared here.
That's why the host does it. I'm not meant to know them.
I don't know them.
Right. Thank you to our sponsors. Let's see how many I can get. Rule 1, Brick and Brack, Synthesized Designs, Panthera Esports, Gamers Apparel, and I don't know the other two. Oh dear God! If only I knew the sponsors as a GM, it would help me so much. Oh,
I've been told it's badass and gamers beat cancer. So
yeah, I thought
the
one of
two
them
that
was
you missed
Gamers
out-
Beat Cancer on the end. I thought so, but I
Yeah.
didn't want to get it wrong. You know, they do a lot for the league, so we got to thank them respectfully and not give the wrong sponsor a shout out. So.
And I mean, apologies to all of those sponsors for me not knowing them in advance. I didn't do my homework before coming on, and that really just showed there. But thank you everyone for watching this incredible stream tonight. I mean, we enjoyed making fun of Kingsman. We enjoyed making fun of Butter. Hopefully you enjoyed my Christmas shirt, and hopefully you all have a good week.